not one of us would be here. All of us came through 1580 KDAY. Every last hip hop, foundational hip hop group from the West Coast, all needed, cherished, and are indebted to 1580 KDAY. It's right up.
50,000 watts. AM stereo KDAY, Santa Monica, Los Angeles.
I'm Greg Mack, and welcome to the 1580 KDAY podcast. Now, a lot of people don't know, and you're going to learn, because this is the very first radio station to program hip-hop and some other types of music, which we'll get into in a little bit, but ever in the world. Now, today's is called CHR Rhythmic, and there's a lot of people that have tried to imitate, but we're going to explain it all to you. And my lovely guest, Kimberly Clark. Kim, you ready to do this?
I'm ready, Greg.
What do you know about hip-hop?
You're like my West Coast hip-hop Moses, because I am not from here. I'm from the East Coast. But I know that the history is really rich, and you are like an important part of the fabric of Los Angeles music scene.
Well, we're going to part the sea of information and find out, because there's so many myths and what I call his stories out there. And so we want to, with this podcast, kind of set the record on straight, kind of educate you on a lot of what was going on. I think you'll be surprised.
I have a million questions.
I have 1,000,001 answers.
Okay, I'm sure you do. You're like a walking library, I know, of information. But first and foremost, I want to ask you, what made you get the idea to have hip hop playing on a radio 24 hours a day?
Well, hip hop actually started being played on the radio in '77. I had just got into radio. That was at a station that I was working at called KTSA in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And KTSA played Sugar Hill Gang, song. And the thing about that is that at that time I didn't know what to think of it. I just knew it was cool, it was funky, but I don't think that radio at that time looked at hip hop being that serious, And so they kind of looked at it like what do you call it? Candy, bubble gum,
right? Like it wasn't gonna last.
Yeah. Because Rick D's fellow DJ, he had a song out called Disco Duck. And so Rapper's Delight was kind of like, and so they didn't take it serious. And then when I started working in Corpus Christi, Texas, they started playing a little bit more rap. Not much more, but one or two songs. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to Houston, it really started to, when I was working at Magic 102, it really started to get more airplay. And but nobody, they kind of played it at night. They tucked it away. It was sort of hood rat type music. There was a certain class of black people that didn't like it at all and thought that it was a negative influence on the kids. And so, stations kind of played it late at night. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to Los Angeles, 1580 KDAY in July of 1983, when I got there, there was 5 black stations, mind you, right?
Okay.
There was KGFJ, if you remember them, KACE.
I don't.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
There was KJLH, there was KACE, KGFJ, KUTE, and of course 1580 KDAY. And out of the 5, 1580 KDAY was number 5.
Okay.
Okay.
And so you came along to the station.
There was, when I first got there, I was meeting with Jack Patterson, who was the program director, and Ed Kirby, who was the general manager. And they called me in the office. Damn, same day I got there. And they said, we're trying to figure out how to pick it up. If you got any ideas. And me at that time, I was always, if you asked me if I had an idea, I had an idea whether I had an idea or not.
Right. Right.
So I said, sure. Give me a couple of days to think about how to do this. So they said, okay, we'll give you a couple of days. And so I went home. I was staying over in South Central in a back apartment that my mom owned. She owned the house in front of it.
I never heard anyone say South Central. South Central.
South Central. Trust me, they didn't know what to think of me. This country
Yes,
boy,
I want to get to that, but please continue.
When I got home, I just opened up the window, and that's all you heard was hip hop. You heard Curtis Blow. You heard Run DMC. All you heard was hip hop. I'm like, that might be the music to play. So I went back and talked to Ed and Jack the following day. And I said, I'd like to kind of lean it more into a rap station. Oh, no.
Of course.
No, that's not. Well,
because what was the programming
at that time?
Like
they were playing, some pop, some R&B. It was proper to play these songs.
Right.
It wasn't, going to piss people off. And so they immediately said no. And so I was told, they said, well, talk to Ed later. If you talk to Ed after 1 o'clock, after he's had his drink, he goes to have lunch and then he has a couple of cocktails. And then talk to him when he gets back. And he'll say yes to everything.
Right.
So I said, all right, let me try it. So Ed Kirby, when he got back that day, I said, Ed, I need to speak to you. Huh? Because I said, oh, okay, they're right. I said, Ed, and I kind of broke it down to him. I said, look, don't be afraid here. I said, we need to tap into the streets. I said, none of these stations are really tapped into the streets. Giving the kids, what they want to hear and stuff like that. They would touch upon rap, mostly at night. I said, but let me go after him. Well, okay. And so he gave me the okay. Although the next day he was like, well, I said, hey, you said, yeah, okay.
Wow.
So that was the beginnings of 1580 KDAY.
Greg, I'm listening to you speak. You have an impeccable radio voice. It is like you have, what do they call it? It's like the general like accent that radio broadcasters have. Like you have that. So it's just funny to hear you in your voice talk about hip hop. And I want to know, how did the community how did they react to you? Because I'm listening to you, plus you're from Texas coming to LA. Like, what was the reaction like? Like, did they bring you in? Like, were they like, okay, this dude is cool? Or were they looking at you like, who is this dude?
It took them a minute because when I first got here, I pulled up in a pickup truck with the little cab over the back.
Right.
And got out of the truck in my cowboy boots and hat. And so they did. I still had a Texas accent when I got here.
Okay.
The very first friend that I made in Los Angeles, I'd gone to a party probably a couple of nights after I got here, and I got to meet Barry White. And so Barry White just started laughing at the accent. He's like, man, he's like, you like a breath of fresh air, man. So after we talked, we actually became kind of cool. And a lot of people don't know that Barry walked me through a lot of how to figure the streets out.
Okay.
Barry was a gang member at one time.
So he was your mentor.
Yeah, Barry told me, boy, you better not wear that red. You better not wear that blue. What's wrong with you? You better, you can't say cuz, you can't say blood, because in Texas that was a term of endearment.
Right.
But in LA, it's it's a term for getting your ass whooped.
Right.
So Barry would teach me stuff like that, and I was so blessed. I'd go to the studio sometimes, hear him producing his music, and he was a big influence in me adjusting to the streets of LA. And as far as sound like a DJ now, that's not a good thing. When a DJ starts to sound like a DJ.
Well, I'm not saying that you sound like a DJ, but you know what I mean. Like you have a very crisp. You sound crisp. You sound professional. Because even like when you hear people in media today, and they're all, they're all degreed up and whatever. They use a lot of slang. They use a lot of the hip language, but I've never heard you speak that way,
I can if I get a couple.
So did you
40s.
do that? Do you pour your 40 in a in a champagne glass? And
the
I can't see it, Greg.
I think that the reason that a lot of the kids in the streets accepted me was that I didn't sound like that. They were tripping on me, and that even when I was growing up. My auntie, when we'd go visit my auntie, she'd grab all the kids. Come around. Listen to Greg talk. Listen to him talk. I didn't know what that meant. I never knew that I'd end up, being in radio. Most DJs hate their voices. Most, if you talk to, I've met some of the biggest in the game, and they're like, "Oh man, I can't stand to hear myself," and I'm kind of like that. But I never looked at it like that. But the rappers seemed to have more respect for me because I sounded non-threatening.
Yes.
Plus, I didn't look like I could beat nobody's ass. So they're like, "Oh, he's got to be cool because he talks like a white boy," as they would say.
Right.
And so I don't know. I never thought much about it. But I've heard that.
Yes, I'm sure you have.
Throwback memories. I know you remember when I used to try to chase you all the way to your house. And,
I remember.
And he knows I mean that. I used to try to track Greg down everywhere in L.A. He had a club thing going in, and I wanted to play in a club. I wanted to do anything because this was the man that could break your record wide open in L.A. So I remember chasing him, and I remember you supporting me. I still appreciate that, today.
Right. Well, it's good to have you. Now, one thing I've got to ask you about is I've been reading everywhere that something about Michael Jackson's glove. You put up a reward for it. Apparently, you want to buy it, and now you challenge him to a dance contest. What's up with Michael?
Hey, wait.
So, Greg, they give you the green light to play hip hop 24/7. Now, what were some of your strategies in terms of like programming and, lining up, the music that you were going to play?
Well, my strategy has always been to if you're going to try and attract somebody, you need to know what they like. So I had to get out in the streets. And the way that I got out in the streets, my sister, Stephanie, had invited me to a dance, as she called it. She said, "Oh, it's called Uncle Jam's Army." And I'm like, what the hell is an Uncle Jam's Army? I'd never heard of such a thing. No, all the kids get together. Well, you got to come. So I said, all right, well, cool. That's going to be my first induction into the streets of LA. And so we went to the sports arena, LA Sports Arena. And when we walked in, I had never seen nothing like that. I mean, it was like 10,000 kids. And I'm looking like, do they have bands or what's going on here? It was just DJs.
How did it get that name? Do you know?
Uncle Jam's Army, you have to understand that George Clinton was doing like the Funkadelic and all the different names, and the Army was included. And I think Roger Clayton, who was the leader of Uncle Jam's Army, kind of took it over for dances, Uncle Jam's Army.
Okay.
And so, I'm like, this is it. I got to get KDAY tied in with these guys. I got to get them tied in. So I had my sister help me, and we tracked down Roger Clayton of Uncle Jam's Army. And so I met him. I said, "Hey, man, I just got here from L.A. We're getting ready to do this rap thing on 1580 KDAY. We sure would like to tie into what you're doing." And he started laughing, and I'm like, "Well, what?" And he looks around at the crowd, and he says, "Motherfucker, I got 10,000 kids out here. Does it look like I need fucking radio?" And I said, well, I guess you don't. You know, I mean, he had a crowd. He had a point. But me, I've always been one of those people that when I see stuff like that, I hear stuff like that, you don't want to be down with me. You don't want to put me down. Okay, we're going to go to war. And we did. And so I wanted to create my own group to go up against the Army. And every Monday, we would have meetings with all the record labels. They would come and present their music, you know, ask me to play it and blah, blah, blah. Which that's another story in itself because I pissed off a lot of record company people.
We'll get into those stories.
Yeah.
I got to make a mental note of that.
Yeah. And so, you know, anyway, this guy comes down there and we got to talking. His name was Lonzo Williams, who was out of Compton. Lonzo was a promoter, had a club that was doing real well, a couple of clubs that was doing real well. So we got to talking about doing some stuff together, and he said, man, I can help you when I was telling him about the Uncle Jam's Army situation. He said, how do you want to do this? And I said, well, I got an idea for this mix show I want to do in the afternoons, and I want to call it the Traffic Jam. At that time, nobody was using the term Traffic Jam. I should have trademarked it. And
now everybody uses it.
Yeah, now every radio station around the world. And so, anyway, he says, use my DJ, you know, and we can work out a trade. So the trade was his DJ would mention his club. You know, the mixes are brought to you by, you know, Dudo's, which was the club in Compton at that time. And so, okay. And so I don't have to pay the DJ? No, you do that, and we'll bring you the mixes. And so he said, I'm going to bring my DJs down so you can hear them and stuff. I said, are they any good, man? Come on now. And he said, yeah. Okay, what's their name? Dr. Dre and DJ Yella. I said, well, they better be good with names like that, you know, because I didn't know. You know, and so they brought me their mixes down to listen to. And I said, oh, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good because Dr. Dre's mixes were not what you think. They weren't the regular DJ mixes. They were actually productions. They were like 8 tracks. He would lay one track of a beat, and then he'd lay another track of a beat over that, and he'd lay another track of scratches and all kinds of, I mean, it was 8 tracks.
Was he the only one that was doing it like that?
Him and DJ Yella, yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
And it became so big that they started pressing them and selling them, the mixes that we were playing on the air. They were selling them at the Rhodium swap meet and making, God, I don't know how much money they were making, but obviously it was enough because they only worked for me for about a year. Then they were gone.
Right. And then
they were making so much money producing mixes.
Right. Tell me about the first time you met Dre. What was that like?
You know, Dre was a very, very good kid. And when I say that, I mean, he didn't, at that time, he didn't, you know, do anything that a normal kid wouldn't do. He might, you know, chase the women and blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't out there, you know, he was a good kid.
Because at this time, he was a teenager, right?
Yeah.
He was like 17, maybe.
Probably somewhere around 19 or so, because I was still in, about 3 years older than him. And him and DJ Yella, you know, they were the cats. But as far as, you know, people always ask me, you know, well, were they nice? Were they crazy? What? They were cool as hell, all of them, you know. And I'd go hang out with them at Lonzo's studio, which was in the garage at the back of his house. So we'd go over there and hang out, and we did a song together, a Christmas song.
Wait a minute.
You can't find.
Wait a minute, Greg.
Yeah, we did a Christmas song.
When you said we did a Christmas song, were you rapping?
I was rapping.
So you got bars, Greg.
I don't know about bars. I tell you one thing, it didn't sell anything, but it was fun doing it.
You wrote your own lyrics?
You can hear it online. If you go to YouTube, you can hear it.
What's the song called?
I forget. I mean,
did you write your own lyrics?
I think Dre and Yella helped me. I think we just kind of made it up, and DJ Clientele, who was part of the Wrecking Crew, we all kind of just sit there in the garage and did it.
That I want to hear this.
You got to
song.
hear it.
We got to play it for the people. The people want to hear it.
Yeah, so we did a Christmas song back there, and we just started to bond. We were cool.
So the relationship basically between you and Dre was already established when NWA came out. Mm-hmm. So that was already solidified. And did you already know Eazy-E then as well?
No.
Okay.
I started meeting some other West Coast guys in between that period. Dre, I think, it took him a few years to realize that he wanted to expand beyond World Class Wrecking Crew. Lonzo had his idea and his vision of what he wanted the group to be, which was, more Temptation-ish. And Dre wanted to be more, more street. He wanted to be hard. And so Dre went along with it for a while. It was rough for him. I remember talking to Dre after a dance one night, and he was just sitting there, looked like he was about to cry, sitting on the steps, and it's because his car had broken down and he didn't have the money to fix it. So he was going through stuff like that. I gave him the money to fix it, and we was just cool like that. It was no big thing.
Could you see did you even imagine that Dre would be the level of a superstar that he is today? Could you see that then in him?
No, I can't see it in any of the people that I helped launch, that they would be big TV, movie, recording.
Right.
You don't see stuff like that. I just never thought about it. Mm-hmm. They were doing their thing. I was doing my thing. We hung out when we could. It was nothing but love when we were together. But I did not see that coming.
Right.
Most of them, I did not see it coming. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't thinking that way.
Mm-hmm. Let's backtrack to the Uncle Jams and the parties that you were putting on as well. As we all know, it's Los Angeles. There are gangs here. What was that like coming into that environment where it was very tense and you had all of the street politics that you had to deal with? Mm-hmm. How did you navigate that? Are there some stories that you have about, anything that, any sticky situations that you were in and somebody had to pull you out?
The gang life was interesting. When I first moved here, the little house I was telling you about behind my mom's. Mm-hmm. Anyway, my mom had given me the key to the front mailbox. Mm-hmm. And it's okay, let me go out here and get the mail. I go out to get the mail, and all of a sudden this old lady starts coming at me screaming, "Get out of my mailbox, you're stealing that's you, I know it's you that's been stealing my mail," and blah, 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 blah. And she jumped over there and started swinging on me and hitting me, and I didn't want to hit the lady. She's probably 60 or 70, I don't know. And so to get her to quit hitting me, I tossed her over the fence. I did.
You picked her up?
I picked her up and I threw her over the fence, and because it was like a bunch of people gathering, and so I asked one of the guys there. I said, "Well, who is this woman?" And he said, "That's your neighbor." My mom had 2 houses, so this lady lived in one. Okay. And so I'm like, oh. I said, "Look, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm not stealing your mail. Well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." So my first introduction to gangs was that night. And bam, bam, bam. And so I'm like, I go to the door and I look at this guy. There's a guy there and he's wearing blue, whatever, and he had a pistol in his pants there. And he said, "Yo, man, I heard you had a problem with my mom." And I'm like, "I didn't have a problem with your mom. She thought I explained it to him and stuff like that." And so he was like, "Well, look here, cuz, that ever happened again, this is what you're gonna see." And he showed me the gun. And I'm like, okay. That was my first meeting with the LA gang member. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't really scared, but I was like,
But navigating that in the music industry, though, I was just wondering, like, what that was like, like being at the parties and, anything that popped off where it was like, things had to get shut down? Or...
Yeah, well, there are so many of those where the gangs, would end up fighting and the events would get turned out, a concert, or and we're going to get in all of those.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I can tell you that, there was plenty of that. I think that what began to happen was because, what we were doing on 1580 KDAY, they were so into that they kind of looked at us, because all of us, the DJs from Russ Parr to J.J. Johnson, Jack Patterson, Lisa Canning, Don Tracy, Jesse Terrero. I think I got everybody. But they started to have a different kind of respect for us. And in particular me, because I would not only be on the radio playing their music, but I went to all their events. I got to know them. I didn't disrespect. I learned what not to say, what to say. And the relationship grew. It was on a different level than most people, I think. And I remember them telling me one time when I was cursing, I forgot what had happened. And one of the gang members like, yo, cuz, don't let us hear you say that again, man.
That's
we
beautiful.
look up to you, man. We look up to you, and hearing you curse, that's not you, man. That just, and
it's almost like KDAY was like a neutral territory.
I was like a father figure, yeah. I really was.
Yeah.
They trusted that and then, like I tell people, it got to the point to where there was a news reporter named Warren Wilson that anytime one of the gangs got in trouble, they would go to him to turn them into the cops to make sure that they didn't get shot. I had begun to have that kind of relationship with the gang members where they would call me and tell me that they had to take somebody out. And I'm like, well, what did he do? Why would you, there's never a good reason, that kind of speech. Well, he raped my 11-year-old sister. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I probably would have took him out too, but that's not the right thing,
Right.
And so some of the stories they had, it's like, I got to be honest with you, I felt like I would have done the same. However, some of them, I would hook them up with Warren, and they would go and turn themselves in. Not all of them.
Right.
But I didn't encourage it. And I certainly didn't talk about it on the radio, but they just felt that comfortable talking to me about it.
You're so much more than just a DJ, Greg.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I was a clown too now.
Father
Don't
figure,
get me wrong
political, activist.
I was a clown.
50,000 watt. AM stereo KDAY, Santa Monica, Los Angeles.
So, Greg, you're the new kid on the block at KDAY. You've taken the ratings up. You guys are number one in the market.
Number two. We never hit number one.
You never hit number one?
Never did.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, number two. So, of course, with all offices, there are politics. And I know that, the fact that you're playing rap 24/7 was already, an issue in itself. What was it like with the people that had been there the whole time to have this new kid there,
I think on one hand they loved it because we were jamming,
right,
and we were having ratings results. And then on the other hand, they didn't quite like the fact that, they kind of thought I had an ego. And
well, you kind of have to have an ego.
Well, I was going to say that, but it's a controlled ego.
Yeah.
I always tell people, when you go on the radio, you better think that you're the best damn DJ in the world. And you need to just come out kicking. And your ego needs to be off the wall. Like, can't nobody tell you shit when you're on the radio. But when you come off the radio, just
put it away.
Come back to reality.
Right.
Me, before I go on the air, I'd walk around the office bagging on folks. Just,
you were one of those? He's playing the dozens? And...
It would pump me up for my show.
Right.
If I could walk around and talk about you, if I go around and talk about you, I could get on the air and I would just, go off and be clowning.
So give me an example of you saying something and pissing somebody off, like just a joke.
God, that's, your mama's so fat she can't turn over. We would just stuff like that, man. I had to go down to the beach to push your mom back in the water.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we had mama jokes. It was just little stupid jokes. But we would just go back and forth. Me and Russ, me and everybody there, and that was the fun part. And then there was not so fun. When I first got there, there's a lady that called me up on the hotline. I don't know how she got the hotline, but she called, sexy sounding. I want to welcome you to LA, and I love listening to you. And da da da. She invited me out to dinner, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I met her at a place called Martoni's. We,
Sounds
go in
fancy.
there. Well, it was a little Italian restaurant that everybody who was anybody, that's where they hung out, So we were in there and enjoying ourselves, talking and stuff. And then JJ Johnson would come in and like, oh, hey, it's JJ. Come to find out that was JJ's favorite spot. And so we're over there, and next thing I know, he bring us a bottle of wine. I'm like, oh, okay, that was really cool, JJ. And so we drank it, da da da. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You ready to go? I'm like, it's nice. Let's go hang out some more. So she's like, cool, yeah. So we walk out, and then she kisses me on the cheek and says, bye, thank you for such a good time. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Moral to the story is, I did not know that was JJ Johnson's ex. They had just broke up 2 days before, and she was using me to try and make him jealous. And so JJ and I never really got cool after that. We see each other now. It's nothing but love. It's all good. But she tricked me and I didn't know it. And so that was one of the things. And the list kind of goes on with the other jocks. But that one always sticks in my mind because JJ was my idol before I even came to Los Angeles.
Right. And so that started your relationship with a sour note, clearly.
I had, I had haters, not just, and I wouldn't say haters, but people that didn't understand that I kind of would make mistakes. I was still young, The record labels were pissed at me. And the record labels were pissed because I was playing so much rap music. What are you doing playing all that rap music? And I done spent $100,000 over here on this Freddie Jackson, and you over here playing Egyptian Lover. What kind of shit is that? Had a record label send a message that they were going to break my legs, and if I didn't get straight, they were going to break my neck.
Is that legal?
Honey, I don't know. But it was a message that was sent to me.
Did they type it? Was that handwritten? I'm very curious.
No.
Like, how do you...
It was like
that was official, like,
it was a friend
record
of
company
it was a friend of a
correspondence.
friend that pulled me aside and said, yo, man, they talking about breaking your legs, bro. Because you won't play. You playing all that hip hop shit. And the other things that a lot of the independent record labels were pissed about is the fact that I didn't accept payola. They felt like they could buy me, and I not once, and I'm so proud of that, not once took payola from any record label. Now, some would say, well, you took partyola. Well, yeah, I guess I did. I don't know.
What is partyola?
Well, partyola was like, if we played your record, or if I played your record, I expect you to come out to the schools and visit with the kids. I expect you to go out and do things in the community. I expect you to go out to the skating rinks and perform for the kids. Basically, get out and promote yourself in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Along with our radio station. So you could call that partyola. Mm-hmm. But there's not one group that you can bring in this building right now to say and verify that took payola. If you had a good record, you walked in, 9 times out of 10 before you left the building, we was playing it.
What's the most outrageous thing you were offered? Just out of curiosity.
Outrageous thing I was offered?
Yeah.
Ooh. You trying to get me now?
We want to know the stories, Greg. We know you got them.
Well, that's That
was in the past, so you could say it now.
No, I mean, I was out there with the ladies. That's probably the only outrageous office. Other than that, you know, the record labels, every now and then there'd be somebody walk in with a wad of cash or cocaine or some kind of drug trying to entice me, whatever the case may be. But you know, I've never done anything stronger than marijuana, and I do that twice a year. I'm a lightweight. It's like if I smoke a joint, I'm 4 or 5 days before I can recover. You know, I'm just not a weed smoker.
That's probably why the rappers loved you too, because there was more weed for them.
Well,
wasn't smoking up all their weed.
Well, I didn't buy none from them, but you know, I know that there was a producer, DJ Unknown, we called him, and then he never been photographed. Although I did see somebody recently with a picture of him, but he hated it. He'd want to fight.
Never been photographed.
That's why they called him DJ Unknown.
That's kind of dope. I love that.
But he was producing like Ice-T and you know, that song 6 in the Morning, which was the first so-called gangster rap. And you know, I don't know. I can't say that, you know, these guys, you know, they didn't dislike me because I didn't do drugs. I think they liked me because I didn't.
Yeah, I can see that. And that goes back to the whole father figure thing too. Like, they wouldn't want you to participate in that type of thing with them. You would mess it up. You would mess up their high.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
If you was getting high with them. Let's talk about World on Wheels. You know, I love to roller skate, and I've been there, you know, during its different iterations. It's closed right now, but you guys used to do events there, right?
Yeah, well, part of my strategy was that because the kids, because that's what I was going after was kids.
Right.
They couldn't go to the clubs, and the clubs didn't want us because they didn't want that rap music being played in their club. I mean, I was really looked down upon. But the kids liked it, and so we figured, well, the best place to do the kids is at the skating rinks. So we approached skating rinks. Skating rinks didn't want to spend any money to advertise. They really wanted to do it, but they didn't want to do it. So I made a deal with most of them to where, okay, look, you can't afford it. So you keep your sales, your bar, your food, your skate rental. I'll buy the time on the radio, and then I'll just keep the door. So I'm the one that's taking the risk here. That's the deal we had. Right. I did it with World on Wheels, Skateland, Sherman Square, and some clubs that couldn't afford it.
Did KDAY do the infamous concert with LL? Was that KDAY?
That was me.
That was you, huh?
I did it.
Okay.
That's a few years, but yeah. We would have problems, but they were minor problems. The kids were having so much fun. And it was so funny because, example, as a World on Wheels, a lot of times we had to end the night early because literally there was too much curl juice on the floor. And you
talking
couldn't
about
skate.
activator?
Yes. It was so hot.
It was greasy.
It was so hot in there that the curl juice was melted off folks' head. And you could literally see a layer. And so they would have to close early because they were afraid of getting sued with somebody falling. True story.
That's
and
hysterical.
Oh, yeah. We would skate for the first couple of hours, and then we would stop the skating and have everybody come out on the floor. DJs
wipe
would
up the
start
curl
mixing,
juice.
You know?
Wipe up that carefree curl, worlds of curls.
I'm serious. But yeah, we you know, would do that, and then everybody come out and dance. And at that time, Dr. Dre and all of them would come out and mix, blah, blah, blah. And it was hugely successful.
Can I hear the story about LL from your perspective? Because I've heard it told different ways from different people. You know, I heard it all the way back on the East Coast. You know, I was a little girl, but I was like, oh no, they done got LL. You know, and I want to hear the story from your perspective.
LL Cool J. Now, I I think you're talking about the night downtown because we had a couple of incidents.
Well, there was a World on Wheels story about him.
World on Wheels. You know what? I don't know that story.
Okay, maybe it's a different situation.
There might have been some other
But
shit
talk
that
about
went
one
down.
that you recall, though.
Well, I gave a dance at the Olympic Auditorium, and I had Curtis Blow, LL, Lisa, LA Dream Team, and I believe it was World Class Record. It was a pretty good lineup. And, I think we were selling tickets at $6 each. Place held about 6,000. But anyway, it was packed. Everybody's having a good time. And all of a sudden, down each aisle of the place, a gang member with a 2x4 comes walking down each aisle and just starts swinging on folks.
Oh my God.
And so the place, went crazy. Everybody was running out, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out later, it's because the gangs paid the security X amount of money to let them in with that shit. And security wasn't going to get beat up for me. So they cleared the place. I saw some things I just never believed I would see, with people getting hit with 2x4s, people that were in wheelchairs getting tossed over, turned over on their side, or knocked out. And then the gang members worked their way backstage, and they were like, yo, cuz if you just let us take some pictures with Curtis and L, and we'll get on out of here. They wanted pictures. And so I grabbed one of them. I said,
Why didn't they ask first?
I grabbed one of them. I said, dude, if you wanted pictures, you could have thought of, I would have hooked you up.
Right.
No, man, because there was some other shit going on in here. So one of our guys that worked for us, Rory Kaufman, if you remember, Rory was always the peacemaker. He goes, brothers, we can all get along. One of the gang members turned around and said, man, get the fuck out of here, da-da-da-da-da. And Rory went to grab his shoulder, and he turned around with brass knuckles on him and just knocked him out. We thought he was dead. So we had to rush him to the hospital.
You had to rush Rory?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
LL and the groups, they just stayed and took pictures with the gang members. Gang members didn't do nothing to them. They got their pictures and they broke out. So in many ways, it was, it was normal what happened. Nobody really got hurt. The one guy in the wheelchair got hurt pretty bad. Rory was up and running the next morning. So.
Didn't have that West Coast issue because I did so many shows here in California, like the Skateland USA, and there was another roller skating rink out here, and one was like a Crips area one, and one was like a Bloods one, and
was that right?
But I'm Switzerland, so I got to go to both. You know what I mean? I was neutral, so I got to go to everywhere. And the guy Greg Mack, who would play on KDAY, KDAY would play. They played my records from the very beginning. So even though I had like 2 records out, an A and a B side, I did so many shows out here. And
50,000 watts. AM stereo, KDAY, Santa Monica, Los Angeles.
So, Greg, what was the worst concert experience you've ever had while you were with KDAY?
Ooh, buddy. Everybody asks that question, but it's the same concert. Has to be the one in Long Beach.
That was in the movie?
Yeah. Long Beach. Long Beach was something I've never experienced before. I was hosting that night, and I was getting ready to bring up Houdini on stage. And when I was on stage talking, all of a sudden I heard a loud thump. And I was like, what the hell? And I turned around, and it was a body that had been thrown over the rail from up on the next level. And the guy was just laying there. I still to this day don't know if he died or what, but he wasn't moving. And they came and got him, and he still wasn't moving. But when that happened, we had all hell break loose in Long Beach. And it was sold out. Run MC, who was headlining, never got to perform. And all of the things that went on before it and what built up to it and what went on afterwards, you guys will have to stay tuned to the podcast.
Did you kind of feel? Did you feel it in the air though? Like this isn't going to be a good night. Did it feel like that?
I just,
you know, sometimes when it's a storm that's about to come, you could see the dark clouds. It gets cold.
Yeah.
The air feels weird.
I will put it to you this way: it's the first time I've ever had to run out of it, a concert.
Wow, that's scary.
I had never had to run out of one, and to run out of one, and all of a sudden, next to you are people with machine guns and rifles, and you're just sitting there like, oh shit.
That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Are you a fast runner?
No.
I bet you was that night though.
I was Carl Lewis.
They depicted that in the Straight Outta Compton movie, right?
I think that they were talking about a different movie. I think that was in Dallas.
Okay.
I happened to be on that tour with them, but that was Dallas.
That was Dallas. Okay. All right. You know, you're so full of so much history and so many stories. And why do you think KDAY is so important? Like, why is this history so important?
Well, 1580 KDAY touched a lot of people. It also made a lot of these kids wealthy. I hear stories from Quentin Tarantino, Carson Daly, Queen Latifah on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. So many people of notoriety that grew up listening. Mm-hmm. They grew up with 1580 KDAY. There was times when I would be at some major company and they found out who I was, and the CEO, you're kidding. It touched a lot of people. And I think it's because of just that whole thing with Dre and some of the people that were coming up in the music business or have been successful in the business. When I would cruise Hollywood Boulevard back in that time, because that's what we did on the weekends.
Right.
When you'd cruise Hollywood Boulevard and the whole street sounded like a stereo, and they were playing 1580 KDAY. I had never heard that. You know, we had like a 22 share of the kids on the weekends listening to the Mixmaster Show. Mm-hmm. To touch and help, because we did a lot of community stuff, and help the community a lot. And we're kind of the leader when it came to some major situation like the Long Beach situation, where we actually stopped the music, didn't play music the whole day. And we had Barry White come and Run DMC get on the air with us, and we talked about it. We had community leaders. And then you had people like Russ and myself who had people on the floor laughing all the time. And you had JJ and Jack, who were just some of the most talented black DJs on the radio. You had a combination of comedy, a new generation of music. It just all came together.
Are you in contact with some of the younger artists, LA artists that are like top billing right now? Because, you know, you talk about Dre, but a lot of those artists are so inspired by Dre and Cube. Like I immediately think of Kendrick, you know, and I'm assuming that he listened to KDAY growing up.
I don't think he was born, but I will say this, that Kendrick, I'm going to get back at him. Okay. I'm going to tell you why, because I was riding in the Compton Christmas Parade a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And there's a Suburban that pulls up. I'd already gotten in my convertible, ready to ride in the parade, and a black convertible pulls up, and the person that was going to ride in front of me was Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, wow.
So he gets out and gets in the convertible and stuff. The problem is is that when we were going down the parade route, everybody started following Kendrick. So there was nobody left on the parade route to even wave at me.
That's hilarious.
So I'm going to get you, Kendrick.
Because he owes you. He owes you a lot. He really does. Because I heard a musician from his To Pimp a Butterfly album talk about KDAY. And I was like, that's amazing, you know, that you've touched so many generations. And you know.
Here's what happens. When I meet the younger guys, they do show a lot of respect. And they're like, oh my God. I get that a lot. But I haven't really gotten to meet Kendrick or, you know, SZA, who I'd love to meet, or, you know, some of these other kids that are blowing up in LA.
I feel like they know you.
Well, I think they
know the history,
but they weren't born.
Some of them are old enough.
Maybe. I don't know. I hope so. But every time I meet them, they show respect. I haven't met any of them that are disrespectful. You know, the first time I met Snoop, it was like I was just tripping because, you know, his security guards saw me and they were like, get it! You know, like they wanted to beat me up just because I looked at him, you know, and I'm like, Snoop, it's Greg Mack. And I told him who I was, and he's like, what? So he got on his security guards and he's like, man, I got to get a picture with you and da-da-da, we got to talk. And da-da-da. So he showed
That's
a lot of
amazing.
respect. So yeah, a lot of them know it. I don't get caught up in it. It's like, if you do, you do. You don't, you don't.
No, but they need to kiss. They do need to kiss the ring, I think.
Well, that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
They can kiss your ring.
No. I'm just the catalyst.
Yeah. But
to the ring.
I think that it's important that the kids growing up know their history, because what they're getting right now is a lot of, like I always say, his story, and it's not accurate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what you're hearing that's not the way it went down.
And the culture is very rich, and I think that it's important to, you know, pay homage to what happened before, you know, because a lot of people, they think they're being innovative, they think they're doing something different, and it's like, you know, we did this back in the 80s, you know, or this is where you got it from. So I think that's what this is all about. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And they knew back then that I couldn't dance, but they liked my music. They're like, the brother can't dance, but he plays some jams. No,
they say gangsters don't dance, they boogie.
Well, you know, I was doing the Crip Walk, but I didn't know what it was.
Oh my God. I need footage of that.
I was doing
that.
We
gotta unearth the
before
footage
it was
of
fashionable.
Greg Mack. We have to unearth the footage of Greg Mack sea walking. I can't.
Yeah,
I cannot.
Those were the fun days.
Yes. So, Greg, we mentioned earlier about Straight Outta Compton, and they actually had you in the movie. How did you feel? How do you feel about just overall how you've been depicted in media, whether it was in a movie or even mentioned in interviews? Like, do you feel like you've been presented accurately? You know,
no, I don't. It's okay. I think that, you know, for one thing, I didn't even meet F. Gary Gray, who played me in the movie, until the night of the movie. The premiere, I walked up to him and I said, hey, Greg Mack, this is Greg Mack. And that was the first time we met.
So they didn't even consult you? They didn't?
No, they had me
study your language patterns?
You know, here's the way that went down. About 10 years before the movie came out, the writers had come to me and interviewed me, and I gave them all kinds of stuff to use. And obviously, they only used about 2 minutes, but I gave them hours and hours of stuff. But I did not know that my part was even going to be in the movie until about a week before. They said, oh, you need to sign this thing, you know, if you want your part in the movie. I was like, is there any money involved? No, if you want to be in it, sign it. If you don't, we'll just cut it out. It was like that. And so I said, you know, I talked to my lawyer. He said, that'd be good publicity. And that's why I looked at it.
Right.
And then I gave him a little clip of a film, which if you stay till the very end of the credits, you know, you will see me. They did use actual footage of me so, I'm glad the movie did well. I'm glad that they made a lot of money, but it's all good.
Right. What was your favorite part of the movie?
My favorite part of the movie was when Greg Mack got visited by them in the studio.
Of course.
Asked to play their record. And that was pretty accurate. That is kind of the way that went down.
Do you ever go by the old studio?
Yeah, of course. I've been by you mean the old 1580 KDAY studios?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still sitting there. I did get to go in a few months back. The engineer there, they were there cleaning some stuff up. It's a big storage room now.
How does it feel when you walk in there?
Spooky. Just, thought of all the memories, all of the fun stuff, all of the not so fun stuff. And brought back a lot of good memories.
So much history in those walls.
Oh, yeah. If they could talk, some of us probably would be still locked up.
Uh-oh. You know what? A little birdie told me you got a little something on your arm. And
My tattoo? My 1580 KDAY tattoo.
Show us.
You want to see it?
Yes.
There we go.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, look at that. The only one in the world.
Is that
Somebody's probably copied it, but...
That's dope.
Yeah, I had a tattoo friend of mine do that for me.
How long ago did you do that?
Oh, God. I had that done probably 15 years ago.
15 years ago?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know he was really good. And he said, let me do one for you. What do you want to do? And I was thinking about putting all the radio stations I ever worked at all over my arms. But I said,
like a sleeve?
Yeah.
That's kind of a dope idea.
I'm just going to do the one that meant the most. That was it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. There's going to be so many stories, man. Like this.
Yeah. This podcast is going to be fun.
It's going to be jam-packed with just so much information, so many things that we didn't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know you had a tattoo.
Right. I have the tattoo, and there's a lot of other, there's so many stories that I'm finally going to be able to let you guys hear and share it with you. And this is going to be a podcast that you can play in class and educate the kids, and you're finally going to get the truth. Because, and I'm not saying everybody's lying, but
well, it's different perspectives.
This is my perspective, and I've always told people that, if 100 people could do a movie about KDAY, and they would all probably be good stories because it touched so many people so many different ways, and so. And I don't know if they would be accurate or not. And, and I've gotten offered very lucrative movie deals to do stuff that's inaccurate. And while I understand the embellishment of it all, because that's a big word in Hollywood, I don't want to lie. And so, and that's what this podcast is about, is that you're going to get to hear the true story. You might see something different in the, documentary or the movie or the series. But on this podcast, you're going to get the real deal.
Yes. And your integrity, that's what makes you who you are and why you're so trusted by so many people. And, I know people are going to be willing to come on here and talk with you and reminisce. And it's going to be a beautiful journey. Yeah. I can't wait.
We're going to get some guests on here, and I'll let you, we'll have healthy arguments as to.
And I'm just going to be sitting here with my popcorn like.
Exactly.
Getting the tea.
And so we're going to get the truth out.
Yes.
You guys got to be here for all the episodes.
For sure. Thanks for talking to me, Greg.
You're welcome, love.